Okay, well, welcome to WordPress Wednesday. Jim's off to the side doing some technical stuff. Basically, what we're going to do is talk about WordPress and introduce you to the basic concept of what WordPress does, how you can set up your own website, and you know, it's really easy. It's simple to set up, but it has a lot of options. You know, if you're doing a little more complex things, and we're just going to kind of do an overview of what we're doing, so, and introduce you to it.
All right, and my mic's live? All right, well, my name is Jim Carrillo, and what we're going to try to do is we're going to establish this kind of protocol for the show. We'll do for the first 15 minutes a real general overview of WordPress. We'll call it the newbie level. That's about the level that I started WordPress at. And then the next 15 minutes, we'll go a little bit more advanced. We'll talk about actually modifying websites with WordPress. And then we'll just keep on going until at the end we're just geeking out. Does that sound like a good deal?
That sounds good.
All right.
What is your website?
So what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to broadcast Ustream on my website, which is jimcarrillo.com, JimCarrillo.com. But you can always watch it on channel 19, MHAT.TV, which is streaming live, and you can also watch it on cable channel 19 if you're doing that through, let's see, what would that be? Is it Charter that we have here?
Charter.
Charter, all right. And so what we're going to see if Bob can mute his computer because he's cranking away on the rock and roll. And I've confirmed right now that we are actually live. And if you wanted to give me an external on, let's see, Bob's computer or my computer, either one of those. Okay, so right now you're on camera 2. There you go, perfect. Could you switch that external to mine? There you go. So what you're seeing here is I'm actually on jimcarrillo.com, and it's kind of going a little crazy because it's doing the image inside image inside image. You're seeing me watch this show, and that's why it looks like there's this whole mirror effect going on. But if you were on your computer watching this show, you just basically see it once. All right, and we're using Ustream to do that. Now, this site that actually is hosting our show is a WordPress website, and it was nothing more than just copying the Ustream code in the WordPress site. All right, Bob, so let's see if we can start off with a general overview of WordPress. WordPress is like the new way of thinking about websites. When websites used to be built, they were built in HTML. They were simple little files that you would create on your computer, and then you'd upload it to the internet. And then it'd sit there waiting. So you might have seen things like index.html or aboutme.html. They're literal files. And when someone wanted to see that page, they would go www.whateverwebsite.com, and then they might have done /index.html. And they're basically looking at the file. So every file that you wanted to see on the internet was a single file that somebody had created. But if you think about that, and let's try Google, for example. Remember when Google came out in the mid-90s? Can you imagine if they had to create a web page for every possible search that anybody could have ever done? I mean, they would have had coders coding forever. So somebody was smart enough and said, you know what? Instead of making the HTML pages, why don't we write a program that when somebody asks for an HTML page, it will create it right there on the spot. Now, before the 90s, that wasn't possible because the computers weren't fast enough. But as we went through the 90s, hey, it was easy. So in a sense, web pages don't even exist anymore. All that exists is just programs on the internet waiting for you to ask for a web page. When you ask for it, let's try Google again. Say you go to Google and wanted to search on puppy dogs. Well, the web pages don't exist. What will happen is Google will send that search to their system, and it will actually create the web page that shows the search results for puppy dogs. And that's how it works. Well, the guys at WordPress decided this shouldn't be something that should be left only to the big companies out there. So they created a system that was free. Anybody can download it, Bob, myself, or you. And you put that system on your web server, and then away it goes. You can now have a system that generates pages instantaneously. So that's what WordPress is, and it kind of gets a little confusing because for some of you out there installing something on a web server, what the heck is that, right?
Yeah, it can be kind of tough and confusing you know, if you're installing all these files and stuff. But most hosting places now will have just, I want to install WordPress. You'll click on it and it'll build it for you.
All right, so what's the trick for someone who has absolutely no experience with installing something on a server, or even they're afraid of clicking on GoDaddy? Do you know that trick? It's the WordPress.com trick.
Oh, yeah, okay, right.
So that's what they did was WordPress realized, hey, this is a little bit too difficult for some people. So they started their own server specifically with WordPress installed that anybody can use. That website is WordPress.com. Now, if you were a little bit, let's say, a little geek on the geeky side, and you wanted to download the actual WordPress program, then you'd go to WordPress.org. And if a lot of people ask me, what's the difference between .org and .com? That's it.
If you want to switch to my screen here, this is actually a WordPress.com site that I set up like 4 years ago or something. And it's basically, it's like a regular WordPress thing, but you can, if you see here up at the top, I don't know, let me see if I can zoom in.
I gotta find my Zoom it too.
Zoom it. I'll bring that up. Control 1. Actually, if you can see right up here in the top, it says cariboustudios.wordpress.com. That's what you're going to get when you sign up. So, you know, this is fine if it's a personal blog and you're not worried about it. If you want to set up your own, you can go to GoDaddy or Network Solutions or whoever your hosting is, and you can associate it with your domain name. So mine could be, you know, actually my company's designfactorgraphics.com. We set it up with WordPress. It's actually not in WordPress right now, but if you go to WordPress.com, this is the kind of site that you'll see.
Now, the folks at WordPress always, just like any business, they're not going to turn away any money, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't that be nice if you could have your own personal domain hosted on the WordPress.com site?
Yeah,
and for $15 you can.
Oh.
$15 a year.
There you go.
It's all they do is they charge you. Basically, you can buy. What they're hoping for is they're hoping that you buy the domain through them. Because if you did, you're kind of like tied in with them. It's that whole feeling like you're held hostage by your IT guy. Well, IT guys sometimes like that because it ensures that they've got a client for life. But so WordPress would love for you to buy your domain name through them. If you don't, though, and you just wanted to take your current domain name and point it over to WordPress, they'll let you do that one. But there still are some limitations because since WordPress is being shared by everybody, well, you can't just change the code willy-nilly, or you can't add this latest and greatest add-on plugin into your WordPress site because it's going to affect everybody. So it's kind of like a shared environment. You can't do anything that you want, but you can do a lot of things. I'd say for the majority of people, WordPress.com would suffice. Although I say that, but I don't have any clients that I put on WordPress.com. Do you?
No. Basically, we set them up because we want to do customizing of the sites. But, you know, if you're just doing a blog or a family, you know, family blog type thing, WordPress.com is just easy. You don't have to really think about anything. Just go into their dashboard and set up your pages. And it looks very similar to custom installs. The dashboard and all that is, you know, very similar.
So another question that always comes up is, what's the difference between a blog and a website? That's a good question, huh? Well, it's actually a trick question. And the reason why it's a trick question is anything that you can view through a browser is called a website. That means a blog is a website. YouTube's basically a website that hosts video. Facebook is a website. So a blog is a website. Now, I really know what the question that they're asking is. When people refer to the concept of a blog, why would they call one site a blog and another site a website? And
I have do you have a sample of?
No, if you have one, let's check it out.
If you want to switch to mine, here's an example of more like a blogging site.
And let's go to the external laptop.
And you can see that they just post, as you scroll down, there's, you know, you can just see that there's posts, and they just line up in order as the guy puts them up there. And then, so that's basically more of a blog type. And then this is one that I set up for a local festival, and it looks much more like a traditional website. You've got your links up here to different pages and stuff like that. And it's not, they're not constantly writing a post every day. I had breakfast at, Scrambles or whatever and posting, and then they just file one right after the other. So if you have a...
Yeah, if you come over to my site, let's take a look at this one. This is a good example, and it's a real quick example of how easy it is to change from what someone would call a blog to a site. I'm going to click on Home. And when I click on Home, you'll notice that the page that it goes to is going to be a relatively static page. It's my About Me. Because this is the page that it goes to, this would be called a website. It's something that's static. If when I clicked Home, it went to my blog, then that would be, as Bob said, a blog, right? Well, let me show you how hard it is to change WordPress from being viewed as a blog to a website. And right now, remember, my site's a website, so we're going to change it over to a blog. Oh, look at that, Bob. You see that I changed the logo? See, I said Blue Marquee instead of WordPress?
Oh, no, I didn't. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, did you catch it out? All right. So I'll have to show you that one a little later
Okay.
on. Okay, so I'm on my general settings. And I'm going to actually scroll down. Just below the general settings is the reading settings. And the way I think of reading is when people are reading your blog, what are they looking at? And let's take a look right at the very top. It says front page displays. Is it your latest post or a static page? That is as hard as it gets to change your site from a website, a static page, to a blog. I click Save Changes. When I'm done, I'll click on my site to go look at it. And now the home page takes me to the blog. So now I have a blog set up.
Oh.
That's it. That's as hard as it gets. Everything else is just mumbo jumbo. All right. Let me show you that, Bob, while we're at it. Let me log out.
That's a pretty cool trick. Or not trick, a feature.
Yeah, everything we do is tricks. It's all hocus pocus. So there you go. So there's my logo right here, right?
Okay, right.
Instead of the WordPress logo. Oh, there's the WordPress logo, but it should. Oh, I see. Blue / Jim Carrillo / WP / I've got so many sites that. And now that's my logo.
Okay.
So what I was really trying to do was I wanted to, for the folks out there, what Bob and I are doing is what we're going into the back end of WordPress. That's where you or us would manage your website. It's where you might add a blog post, you might update your pages, add a picture. And that back end of WordPress is pretty much the same for everybody. It's your domain name. So mine happened to be, mine's under bluemarquee.com / /a-Jim Carrillo. And after your domain, you would type WP-admin. So come over to my page, and I'll show you two things. First, my website, bluemarquee.com, and that's what my WordPress website looks like. A lot different than you would expect a WordPress website to look like. And then at the end, if I wanted to go to the back admin area, I do /WP-admin. So Bob, what I was looking for was a plugin that I could hide that, because I didn't want people to know that I was using WordPress. Really, what I didn't want is hackers knowing how to get into my site.
Oh, right.
But I couldn't find it. Matter of fact, it doesn't exist right now. So the closest I could come is I could change that logo.
Oh, I think I know what you did.
So no, there's a plugin.
Oh, there is a plugin.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
it's cheesy.
I thought you were going to fake it out and change the image.
No, that would have been the reason. What Bob's saying is I could just really see this image right here, find out where that image is loaded, and then just change the image. But when you update WordPress, it would override it.
Change it back.
Yeah. So, all right. So it's time to get a little bit more.
So what is that plugin called, just by any chance?
I don't know.
Well, you can do. It's real easy to find plugins. You can go into add a new plugin, and just type in a search query, and then it goes. So it's probably changed logo or admin page logo.
Oh no, that's too cheesy. No, I get the good stuff. Let's go to plugins. CMSify.
CMS, okay.
for content management system. By the way,
Yeah,
we didn't talk about that, did we?
No. One of the things that you'll see is CMS. When people are talking about websites, you can have static ones, which are just like HTML pages, but then you'll hear a lot CMS, and what it is content management system. So what it is the way that WordPress is designed is you just have all this content. Let's say your pictures, posts, articles, just all your content. And what WordPress does is just manages that content. So you can set up a gallery and tell it, oh, I want these pictures posted in here. And so basically that's what it is when you see CMS, is it's taking all your content and then managing it.
Yeah. Now, content's a pretty geeky word, admittedly, and that's because content was derived from the geeks, the web developers. Web developers can't waste their time with what's on your website. They don't care what text you put on there or the little pictures that you load up or the videos. What they care about is the structure of your site, the colors, the menus, where they're located, and then how does the site interact with the user. So they basically said, you know what, everything else, we'll just relegate it to something called content. And it's a geeky word, so that's where it came from, and that's why it's referred to as content management systems. All right. What else you got?
I think right now I think this.
Why don't you go and show them that one? Let's pop over to Bob's computer, and
this is basically my website, robertsnow.com. Right now there's basically no content. I just put it up there, and this is where I test plugins. If I want to try something out, I'll put it on my website and play with it, so I'm not messing with the client's information. And so
I'm going to stop Bob here. What you're seeing here, take a look at Bob's screen, and every time he moves his mouse, watch what happens to his screen. You see that? And that's because he's got his screen set up on a real high resolution.
Oh, let me change that. Actually, I was playing with the zoom feature.
Is that what that's doing?
In IVGA.
Oh, I see.
So I can.
Odd.
Oh, it's kind of like zoom it.
See how that get real tight on that zoom.
And it gives me some options. So we may use this zoom. I can go 200. Ah, there we go. So it's.
Go real high. Do 400. I want to see how clean that text is.
Up 400.
That's pretty good, huh?
That actually looks pretty good. So we may use this feature when we're showing you some things.
I can't tell if it's easier or not. Then, that's good.
Probably, I'm gonna I'll keep it at this, and then I'll zoom in when I need to. But basically, yeah, my website right now it's where I use it for testing. I brought some photos. I'm not sure if we're going to show how to load images up today or not, but this is probably where I'll go to when we're demoing stuff later on. And this is actually the dashboard. Oh, okay.
One of the things that you see WordPress developers do, really anybody that likes to goof around the web, is the use of tabs. And we get tab crazy. Maybe 15, 20 tabs open, and then we get lost, and we're like, where are we?
Yeah.
So sometimes you'll see us kind of hunting around. That's all we're doing.
Yeah. So I guess what we could show them is the basics of posts and pages and stuff like that. So if you sign up for an account, you load it up, you're going to go to what you call your the dashboard. When you log in, whatever your admin things, you log in, you're going to first go to your page here, and you can see on the left over here, there's posts, media, links, pages. We'll probably go through and explain those a little bit at a time. Do you want to explain the difference between a page and a post?
Yeah. So let's use my site as an example. And bluemarquee.com/ this one right here. On this site, if I had a page that has some static information, something like maybe an about page or my home page or something like that, that's what a page is. It's something that can be changed as often as you like, but you're kind of intended to be static. So the information about me, it's not going to change much. I might update some text here and there, but for the most part, it's a static.
Yeah.
And that's a page. A post, now let's take a look at my blog. a post is like a newspaper article. It's a thought in time, and it's written on a specific day. And so you can tell what a blog is. Oh, I see my blog's right over here. Because it'll tell the date that something was written on, if it was filed under a certain category, and the title. And then the next time I write a post, it's going to push the last post down and then place the new post on top of it. So let's say, for example, this was written on February 2nd, 2011. I'm going to add a new post. And what we'll see is that gets pushed down. So adding a new post is just like writing an email. There's nothing really difficult about it. There's going to be a subject line or the title. And I'm going to say Filming WordPress Wednesday. And excuse my typos. And then you could type whatever you want. This is my post.
You got an extra E in there.
Yeah, I said excuse my typos. All right. And then
backseat spell.
And then when I'm done, just like you would in an email, click send. In WordPress, you click publish. And now when I go to my site, clicking on my name, Jim Carrillo, there it is. Filming WordPress Wednesday. It was created on June 13th, 2012. And it was filed under uncategorized, and it pushed that other post down.
You know, that might be interesting to show them is the categories.
All right.
That you can do as well. Posts, you can create categories and assign a category to a post. So let's say your own personal website and you want to have a page with all my recipes. You can create a category called My Recipes. You could have one called My Favorite TV Shows. And when you create the post, you click on, let's see if I can find it here. Or can you bring up your post? On the post, off to the side, it shows the list of categories. And you just, if it's a recipe, you type in your recipe, you assign it My Recipes. Then you can, well, here we go, like
I got accounting, business admin.
And what you could do is have a page, and you set it, there's a little short code you put in there, and it will just post everything that's tagged My Recipes. So it's kind of like sorting them. You know, you can either, just sort all your posts. You could have it where it just posts everything you're writing about. But sorting them is kind of, if you have a couple different interests and it's just your personal site, I kind of like to separate those kind of things. And that's just a neat feature about the post, because the way I look at it, posts are kind of like little 3x5 cards that has a little bit of information on it. And you can sort them out however you want. You can throw everything right on your front page. You can put them on separate pages and just have the posts in that area.
All right. And I think, would it be archives? Yeah, it's archives, I think. So on my sidebar widget, what I could do is I can add a thing called archives. And we'll see what Paul was talking about. Okay, so I've just added this little archives on my sidebar. And I go to my website. I refresh the puppy. And on the right-hand side, you see how it shows archives? Now, this one does it by date. What I want is categories, don't I? Let's drop this categories right up on top. I'll put this categories. Save it. Go back to my website. Click home. And see how it says categories? Now I can look at all the different categories that are on my site. Well, I've got a hidden category. I wonder what's under there.
No. A secret.
Nothing. I got a marketing category, and it shows all the posts that are associated with marketing. I've got an accounting category, and remember that, well, there's the how to process your credit card. What did I code that other one to? Was it just uncategorized?
I think it was uncategorized. Oh, maybe not.
Whatever. I put it somewhere, didn't I? Well, you know what? I could just go home, and I could, that's been deleted. So I must have deleted that post.
Oh, okay.
So
I could show you one over here, sample. Actually, I just did it today, and there's only one post right now. And what it is I'll show you the website here, is we wanted to set up where we can post events where something's going to be happening. Okay, it's not going.
So what are you going to be doing?
I was just going to show how you can have the post in a couple different places. So here's the home page, and we wanted to add it something where I can, it's not going to work, where we can have every time he has an event, it's going to go down here at the bottom of his home page. There's also a page called Events. So I created this post, and I'll go Edit. And you could see over here, I selected under Events, so I tagged it as an event.
I want to see, how did you do that on the page? How did you
What I
identify
found is there's actually a plugin, and I called it, and I had to do a little bit of work looking for it. It's called Posts in Page.
Holy, you know, I just spent a half an hour this morning trying to find one.
And this one seemed to work pretty good. So now I'll just go to the home page, edit page, and what it is you put this little piece of code at the bottom. I'll zoom in. And it says IC post category. I tell it equals events. Show posts. I set it to only 3. So as 3 events go by, when you add a new one, the other one drops off, disappears off the home page. I have it ordered by date and ascending, so the dates will go. Now, what's cool about this is now I can go to, so that'll just show 3 on the home page. Now I also set up a page called Events. And I don't ever have to do anything on this page once I created the first one. And so here's the code again. Once it comes up, I have it category events, and you notice I took out the number that I want to post. So I want all the events. Even if you have to scroll down, this gives you a list of all of the events. So I never even have to mess with this page ever again. And we go to the home site, and you can see it's there on the front. If I click on events, it's also there. So all he has to do is go in, create an event, or create a post, tag it as events, and WordPress automatically knows how to sort it, where to show it up. So you've got all these events going on. We might have different categories, but once you assign where it goes, you don't ever have to move things or anything. It does it automatically for you.
All right, so the problem that I was trying to solve was a little bit similar, but I don't think that one would have worked for me. The guy that I was working with, he wanted to have a table of contents, and he didn't want the actual content of the post. He just wanted the titles.
Oh,
So I'll show you the plugin that I used, but this is what I created a page called Index of Posts, and you see how here what it does is it just lists all of the different titles of the post that he has. So let me go into there and show you how I got this one. Oh, look at this is terrible. I got a page called Index of Post-2. Is that ridiculous or what?
I know that's the thing when you're playing around with it a lot. You start naming things, and then you got 20 pages in there, and you go back. Oh man, what did I call that? And then you have to look at every page.
Yeah, Index of Post-2.
And especially if you don't have it in the menu, you really don't.
So let's go fix that Index of Post-2 because I can't even. Oh, that was under a page, wasn't it? That was a page. Index of posts, and instead of index of post 2, let's just call it post index. Post index. Okay. By the way, we talked about this before, but I want to show you. Notice how my menu here is collapsing every time, and if I want to expand it, I can click this little button. The reason why it's doing that is because I've got my screen set to 800 by 600, so it's very narrow, and WordPress recognizes that, so it's going to try to collapse that as often as it can. And this is what it looks like when it's collapsed. The other thing that I've got going on here is I've got these 2 columns, and look at this column's running over the second column. So under screen options, I can just go here and change the number of columns to 1, get rid of the screen options, and now I've got a nice clean system going on here. All right, so what I used was, this is the short code, and I'll find the actual plugin, but this one says, I don't even know what CAT stands for. CAT total post equals 100, excerpt equals false, meaning I don't want a little excerpt of the thing, and order by category. And let's see what the name of that plugin was. Oops, did I update this thing? Got to update.
That's one thing you have to remember is in WordPress sometimes the update button is just off the edge of your screen and you don't see it. And I don't know how many times I've made all these changes and then I go away and forget to click update. And it's like, oh, you can slap yourself on the head and go back and redo it all.
So this is the one that I use, Bob. Category post shortcode.
Oh, okay.
To display posts by category in your pages or posts.
Oh.
So probably the same thing. I think the
It's
only
just-
difference was that I can not have the post content. I could choose
okay.
to. Maybe yours you could too.
I think you can go in there to install, and that's one of the other things about, I think when I tell you about plugins, a lot of times, you know, all this stuff is open source, so it's free. The plugin that I got, this one, I installed it and then I'm sitting there, well, what do I do with it? I happened to find, you know, you just keep searching, and I found a little paragraph that somebody wrote with some examples of what to put in that little code. But other than that, there's no manual, there's no book. Sometimes you just have to
Want to see
play with it. If they're popular ones, some of these guys will put little tutorials, but this one, I mean, I kind of had to play with it. And,
All right, you want to see a trick?
okay.
All right, I found this out this morning. Same thing, I must have wasted about a good 20 minutes looking for this one. So the developers that are creating these plugins, they don't know, you know, where do they put their documentation, right?
Right.
Well, if you were developing a program, where would you put the documentation?
If it's my website, I mean, I'd go to my website or documents. I mean, sometimes
You know where they put it?
and there's help.
In the program itself.
Oh,
So if you go to Plugins, Editor, and I go over to, I want to look at that.
oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, category post shortcode. At the very top, it's
Oh, they've got it commented out and they just put instructions. Okay.
how to use.
Oh, well, that's very cool. See,
Go-
you're constantly learning something.
Right, go to yours. I want to see if it's in yours, if that's what it's done.
Let's see, where did I use it? Was this one?
Yeah, that was in his.
And I'm going to go to dashboard, plugins.
And then you click on Editor underneath.
Oh, that's right. Appearance. Oh, editor.
And then up at the top, yes.
And post and page.
And then hit Select to the right of Post and Page.
Oh.
There it is.
There it is. Well,
Short code usage.
that just saved me about a half an hour. Now, that's one thing I want to tell you about, like WordPress and all this stuff. You're never going to figure it all out. You know, you're constantly learning. You know, I mean, I can set up a site pretty quick and add all these things, but because it's all open source, you just, you know, just keep learning as you go. And
Yeah.
that's kind of that way with everything.
The other hard
That's
thing
right.
is when you're doing it for clients, your clients expect you to know everything. They're like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not paying you to learn. Well, here's the point to that one. If you want a free program like WordPress and you want free plugins and you
Right.
want all that stuff for free and you don't want to pay for those, the only thing you can do is pay someone to learn it.
All right.
So that's the payoff, or the trade-off, I should say. Otherwise, with the cost of actually having that
somebody
stuff coded manually for
develop,
you,
you're going to pay a lot more money.
oh yeah, thousands of bucks. Whereas the stuff that we charge is like hundreds of bucks.
Yeah.
All right, well, we kind of got a little deep into that stuff, didn't we? That was an accident.
Yeah.
Let's take a step back.
Well, hopefully it explained the difference between what posts and pages are, because it is a little confusing because in the dashboard they look very similar.
Right.
You know, it's just what you can do with them.
Now, let get you in on a little trick, and this is remember how I said that a blog is a website and a website is a blog? Well, in reality, when it comes to like the meat and bones of things, at the database level, at the program level, WordPress doesn't care if something's a post or a page. It treats it all the same. It's just this one little tag it puts on it and says, I'm going to tag this one as a post, or I'm going to tag this one as a page. Other than that, it's everything's exactly the same.
It's a piece of content.
That's all it is. Yeah. So it doesn't care. All right. Let's look at some sites that don't look like WordPress websites. You had that one where you created for the band, right?
Oh, yeah.
Let's look at that one.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So this site here is, I set up and I designed down template, so it doesn't really look like WordPress. You can see it's got a little music player in it I created, and the sides of it has pictures of the band, and you know, and then it has pages. Here's their calendar. Let's see where they're playing next. And actually, what's good about this is I set this site up and give them access to the WordPress, and they could go in themselves. They don't have to know all this other stuff. They can go into the calendar and just add those, add the calendar events themselves. We've got a gallery. I made a page, and this looks more like a standard site. It's got, I set up a little gallery plugin. So here's a bunch of pictures of them, and you click on it, and it'll bring up a little player, and you can go through the. So if you're going on vacation, you can set up a page, you know, on your blog that shows a gallery of pictures. I also did one of videos. So there's videos that they posted up to YouTube, and I just took the embed code, dropped it in there on their site, and you can go in and see them playing. It's a little slow loading, but you know, so this doesn't look really like what you would think is a WordPress website. And so, you know, depending how much you want to customize it, you can do that. I made this template. Jim's got some that, because there's great templates out there.
Yeah, I'll show you one of the templates I'm using right here. So the template that I'm going to show you is it's a premium template. And what makes something a premium versus a non-premium template is it costs money. And you know, it's just something that somebody says, you know, I'm going to put a little bit more time in designing this template, making it look good, giving it special features, and because of that, I'm going to charge maybe $50 for it. Well worth the price on many of the cases, because in order to design something like this from scratch, it would take me hours, and I'm worth more than $50. But what you're looking at here on this template, you can see how there's these pictures at the bottom, and the site will rotate through those pictures, and really all those things they're either posts or pages, and the text that's right here in the center area is just being pulled by the poster page. If I clicked right here that said read more, it would actually take me to that page, and see this text right here is actually what was pulled. And you can see the different text for that page. Going back on that first one, I can click read more. And again, here's this particular poster page. And so this is a premium template. And see how nice and fancy schmancy it is. Kind of drops down, looks all clean. Now, just because it's a premium template, I mean, even if you don't use a premium template, you can get some pretty sophisticated stuff going on. And Bob does something that's like kind of quasi-premium template, because he designs his own, but he's not designing it from scratch. So tell him how you do that.
Yeah, I use a program that we got. It's called Artisteer, and basically, you know, it kind of has an interface. If you're used to working in Word, it looks similar to that. And you know, it takes a basic template, and you can go in and change the colors and the shapes of things and the margins around the text, change the menus so that the buttons all look different. So that's a little bit more customized. So if somebody has a business and they've already got their logo and the colors they use, I can go in and customize that a lot. You know, pretty simple. But if you don't want to deal with that, I mean, there's so many out there, free templates you can get. Now they do have limitations. Some of them you can't customize at all. Some you can change the colors, you can change the columns. But you know, if you want to spend a little time and go and spend time researching it, there's a lot of things out there.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see what else I got. We've got on my computer, the thing that you're seeing in the front here. I'm actually at MHAT.tv, and you're seeing like a little version of this movie or the show right there in the center area. This was designed by Bob. This was done through Artisteer as well, and it has all the different pages of a website. So that's just a bunch of different options. The TV station uses WordPress to show its schedule, and one of the things that they wanted to do was show the current week's schedule and the next week's schedule. All right, so how do you do that without having to sit at the, every week log into WordPress and fix it.
Yeah, Friday night at midnight, I've got to change it so that it's.
That's right. So
you don't want to do that.
There's two things that we did. The first thing was, and this is a standard feature of WordPress, is you can identify in WordPress when your post is published. The majority of times, the default is published now. But if I wanted to, I can change it to a future date and future time, whatever I want. And when that time hits, when WordPress is asked by somebody on the web, hey, give me a website, it'll say, hey, it's past that time. I can now show this exists. So it's kind of like scheduling things to pop up, even though they were always there.
All right, let's say you're used to, you do a daily blog, and you've got all these people who are coming to see what you're saying that day. You're going to go on vacation. You just create 7 posts, date them to pop up each day, and nobody knows whether you're there at home or just staying current. So that's a cool little plugin.
Yeah, that's actually integrated into WordPress is the future.
Oh, okay.
That one's integrated. Yeah, that's just part of WordPress.
Okay.
So the plugin though that Bob was mentioning is how do you get rid of posts and how do you take them off? So for example, for the TV station, they only want 2 weeks of schedule, the current week and the next week. But they don't want last week's schedule. So there was this plugin that we found called Post Expirator for expiration. And it allows you to identify in that post when you want it to, you can have it delete itself, you can have it change its status to draft, and it'll do that. You don't happen to be on that.
Yes, I do.
So let's switch over to Bob's computer.
And you can see here's Post Expirator. And so what do we want to look at here?
Go to a post, any post. You can create a new post as well. You can
actually, I'll just make a new post. It'll be that way I don't mess with their website and their schedules. So I'll just call this test post.
And what he's going to do is he's going to scroll down to the bottom and then do your zoom puppy. There you go.
And it's just down here at the bottom. And I can't zoom in. So yeah, here's the post expirator, and you can set it for whatever time I'll zoom in. So I want it to.
So you have to enable the post expiration. Then you set
and then I say the 20th, and you can set the time. And so I'm just going to say. And I think what I'm going to do is, again, we go back to the categories, and I'm going to select it's probably schedules only. And I'm going to publish that. Now, it actually may not show up because I think we have it set to only show 2 posts.
Well, let's go. Well, you didn't. Did you put it under schedule?
Schedules only.
Okay.
As a category.
Don't we have a blog somewhere? Maybe we don't have a...
Yeah, I'm not sure. So if we go to schedules...
Oh, look at you did a test post called expiring post, right?
Oh, there, and it went
so
right
if you swap over to my computer, like we're all getting excited because it actually worked.
It worked.
See, there's this test post, and it says expiring post. If I clicked on it, I'd actually see the full page would be test post. Notice that comments are closed. And then up top it says that if I wanted to look at the previous post or the next post, I can look at those too. But that's it.
So that'll sit up there until the 20th if I wanted to, but I'm going to...
Yeah, don't.
I'm going to actually trash it. So, but you can see how instantly it went right on there, and it would sit there until the 20th, and then it would disappear right away, and I just trashed it, so now it should be gone.
We've got some issues going on the site. Go ahead and come over to my screen here. I'm going to show Bob some issues. And Bob and I happen to volunteer on maintaining this site. So it's got the 6.1 through 16.22. That's good. It's got the 6.9 through 9.15. But it's showing all of the other posts too.
Oh, okay.
So something happened, and I don't know what happened. But I'm also noticing, look at its blog. That shouldn't be.
Well, you know what? I could have broken this.
Ooh.
And I'll tell you what I did. Is when I was in there earlier today, I go into the dashboard, and it's not going to show here, but WordPress updated to 3.4 just in the last couple days, and I said update. So it probably broke a couple of things in there. So, you know, I'll have to go in and figure that out. It's probably easy to tweak them, but I just wanted to update it just to see if there was anything new. And
the cool thing about this
is,
yeah, Bob and I, we're not experts. I mean, we know a lot.
Yeah, we know.
But this shouldn't scare anybody. Just see what happens. Try it, and it can't hurt. So let's go ahead and look at. I'm going to look for the schedule. Arlene, freeze, home, MHAT on here. Here's the schedule. So I'm going to edit this item, and let's see what this. You see how it says schedule? I know what it is. It's this. Okay, so I'm going to leave this open, but.
Is it permalinks?
No. Let me go to the site and I'll see if I can show Bob what I think it is before I check, because this is called winning a beer. If I get it right, I win a. Now, who gets me the beer? Nobody. I think I buy my own beer. But do you see these things up here?
I'll buy you a beer.
Really? These are menu items, and these menu items you can see have drop downs. Now, there's a couple of different ways to use menu items. One of them is you could just use WordPress as default, let them create the menu items for you. Or WordPress has a separate little area called menus. And then thirdly, you can actually hard code the menu items into your theme. So let's go look at, I believe that, see this schedule right here? It's actually pointing to mhat.tv/blog, and that's pointing to the wrong place. I believe that's in the menus. So I'm going to go to Appearance, Menus, and see this schedule right here? Ah, we were playing with this, remember?
Yeah, this is the...
And how did we do that when we created that? Oh, it's right here.
Yeah, these are custom menus. I have a little...
See how how do we do this? See how it says original is blog? How do you do that?
Let me get to that.
How did we? Oh, we created a, what's it called, link. Remember we created an HTTP link?
Oh, a custom link.
Yeah. So okay, so let's remove this puppy, and then let's go and add schedule, add to menu, sticks it at the bottom, stick that back up to, where was it, like right around there?
I think it was under, yeah, it's its own.
Okay, so now let's go, so I've done that one. Do I have to save this puppy? I guess so. Now let's do a refresh on this page. Okay, and there's a schedule. And if I click on it, I should only get 2 posts. Voila!
There you go.
But we lost the word blog, right? Do y'all want to have the blog on there?
No.
You don't know blog?
No blog. Not right now.
Okay. All right.
So I could show you real quick a little about the custom menus real quick.
Oh, sure.
That's what I use. And again, I'm going back to my website, which I just used for testing. So I'm going to show you on here. So here it is, and you can see that the tabs across the top here is Flash test. I was testing a Flash plugin, products page, and then a sample page. So I'm going to click on this products page because I was playing with a shopping cart. That's a little trickier, but you can get to, you know, there's plugins for shopping carts and all that. So I set up a bunch of different, you know, ooh, pumpkin pie.
Oh, you sell pumpkin pie?
Yeah, and it's good too.
Oh, hot dogs.
Hot dogs, and then songs, downloadable songs. So I was playing with this, and then I thought, you know what? In case somebody happens to stumble across this site, which nobody will, I don't want them clicking on these products. So we're going to go down to the menus items, and there's 2 ways to go to it. You can either from the top, you can go to menus there, or go back to the dashboard and go to appearance menus. And so I've actually created 2 custom menus. And if you can kind of see in here, let me.
Okay.
And you can see there's 2. There's a main one, and then there's one called main with products. So right now, under primary navigation, you can see I have selected main with products. And it's got, and when I switch to it, these are the menu items. The ones that are kind of shifted off to the right a little bit, those are sub-menus. And it'll be a drop down when you go to the menu. So I don't want people seeing this. So what I'm going to do, my main menu is just home and flash test. So I can go over here, primary navigation, change it to main menu, save it, and then when I go back to the site, all it has is home and flash test. And so that way people can't click on, you know, my products. And that's kind of, I did that for another site too, where they, actually it was this one here, where they've got festival information with vendors and all that, but they don't want that vendor information all year. So there's two menus. One is just the regular site that you would go to all the time, and then when it gets closer to the actual event, all they have to do is switch the menu, and it'll throw all that vendor information right up there on their site. So if you have, you know, timely events and things like that with your organization, you can just create a bunch of different menus, and then it's easy. Just go in, change the menu, and you've got a whole new set of navigation tools. And that's a really cool feature, I think.
Now, actually, I'm going to show you something that you would think is a bad thing, but come on. Well, before you come over to my computer screen, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. So what Bob did was he talked about how you can change the menu systems so that you can hide certain elements of your site. And it's not that you're hiding them. It's that you're no longer giving the people that are visiting your site an avenue to get to them. But the pages still exist, and that's important because, for example, on the Mushroom Mardi Gras, if the page didn't exist and the vendor who had just maybe, let's say the vendor went last year to Mushroom Mardi Gras and it's coming again this year, and he says, hey, yeah, bookmark that page. Well, if that page no longer exists, they would get an error trying to go to that page, right?
Oh, that's good.
But in fact, the page does exist. It's just not in the menu. So let's go ahead and go to my computer. And what you're going to see is robertsnow.com. And just like Bob said, there is no way to get onto the products page. But I know, because I was looking over Bob's shoulder, that he called that page /products. And if I did type that in, or if I had maybe bookmarked it, I can get back to his page. Now, the other thing to know is that unless you explicitly tell WordPress not to do this, WordPress will allow Google to crawl your site.
Right.
So Google might see that, hey, Bob's selling sandwiches, and if somebody searches good sandwiches from Robert Snow, they might actually find the link to that site. So it doesn't make them go away, but it does change the direction of your customer's view when they go to your website.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that you can do, and I actually haven't tried this, if you go back to my computer, up at the top here on my page, let's say I really don't want somebody, and I'm going to try this. Off to the left here is something called visibility, public. Right now it's on public. I'm going to change that. You can select it to be password protected, so somebody can only get to it if they have a password. So if you, let's say you're, putting up pictures and you want only your friends to see it, well, you could password protect it, give them the password, and they could go in and see it. Now I'm going to click private. Okay, that, update the page. And it looks like we did that. Now, Jim, why don't you try to go to that products page again?
Do you know what would happen if you tried to go there?
I'd probably see it.
Yeah, because you're logged in.
Right, because I'm the admin. So actually, when you're logged in as admin, you're going to see everything. Even when I go to, like the one I showed you with the event post on it, and when I'm logged in as admin, it's going to say at the bottom, edit this. Nobody else is going to see that. But because I created it, it gives me that option to edit right from the page. Somebody else goes in there, they can't see, they won't see that.
Right, and that's kind of what private means is if you're logged into the site, you can see it. If you're not, let's see what happens. I'm going to robertsnow.com/products, and it says not found. Look at that craziness.
So if you really want to log people out, you can do that. And actually the password protect is good because like our organization, the MHAT, we have areas that only our members can go to. So you click on that, it's password protected. You know the password. You can go and see our documents and other things like that where the general public can't.
Right.
Now if they because we don't have it set on private, you know, if somebody really wanted to go in there and hack,
Yeah.
we're not that.
I'll tell you what, it's too, I mean, a lot of people try to go a little bit freaky on that stuff. Oh, I want to protect all my stuff. If you make your site so unusable that even the people in your company can't use it, or the organization.
Nobody's going to use it.
Yeah, so I'd say let it go. Don't worry about people finding your stuff. It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't want your, you know, you're not going to put your passwords and stuff on these pages, obviously, or your, you know, bank numbers and all that, you know.
Right, right. You'll just, yeah.
And actually, the purpose of a WordPress site is to get people to come and look at all your things. That's what you want. If it's your business, you want them coming to look at stuff. So,
well, let's take a look at some of the real deep stuff. I'm going to go into. I'm happen to be on jimcareer.com, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at a little bit of the guts of WordPress. And it's not actually the guts of WordPress that I'm going to look at. It's the guts of the theme. WordPress, and come back onto camera 1. So WordPress divided the concept of a website into 3 areas. They said, okay, there's this. The main area is called WordPress. This is the engine that will generate the websites, and it will pull from the theme. The theme is the area that has the information on what it looks like. The looks.
CSS.
That could be
Style
CSS,
sheet.
could be the colors and all that stuff. And then on the other side, it's pulling the content. We've already talked about content. So it's a 3-tiered structure: WordPress, theme, content. And if you go over to my post, I'm going to do a real quick look at the theme. And we've talked about how you could change themes at will, or you can actually edit the content of a theme. And when you edit the content, what you're going to be looking at is a combination of CSS code, PHP code, and HTML. And this is what is actually generating the website, the look and the feel of the website. WordPress will pull from this code and create everything. So you've got divs and H2s and PHP and bloggity blog blog blog, huh?
Yeah, if you wanted to delve into it, this could drive you crazy.
Right.
Especially since, like traditional HTML sites, you have page with HTML and your style sheet, simple. WordPress, when you get down into the guts, I mean, there's just like hundreds of little snippets of code that it pulls around. And so, you know, if you know what you're doing and you want to play, I mean, knock yourself out. You can go in there and, you know, mess with it. It's so customizable that it's ridiculous. But it's meant to be very simple where, like I said, you go to WordPress.com, start it up in 5 minutes, and you're off.
Well, it's Wednesday, and we're on WordPress. And that's why we call this WordPress Wednesdays. That's pretty snazzy, huh? That's pretty good, huh? Well, we thank you for joining in and watching WordPress Wednesdays with us. Every week on Wednesday, you should be able to see a new show, and we'll help you understand what WordPress is.
We'll see you next Wednesday. And actually, you could go to the website. We'll probably take that link off. But in future weeks, we will be showing a little bit more features in the plugins and how to, you know, set up some stuff. So we're going to go into more detail on future episodes. And actually, if you have any questions, you could, well, where would they email us to?
All right. Well, you know what? Well, let's cut it off. Go to MHAT.tv for more. And if you have, oh, actually, so we're getting code for. I'm like losing this. Is this wrap it up
This
or?
is keep going. This is wrap it up.
And so keep going. Oh, I see. So that's what you were doing, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you wanted any information, you can always send the info at MHAT.tv.
Info at MHAT.tv if you have any questions, and we'll try to answer those. We'll probably, at some point, well, it's WordPress, so maybe next week we'll create a page that you can go to, and we'll see you later.
Have a good one. We'll see you next week. Let's see if she can put the DVD. Oh, look at that. And then go live to DVD.